progressive Democrats. You know, I mean, the thing about it is that it's one of those things where granted, in the past, Bill and Hillary, some of the things that they've done, have been a little more conservative. But the fact is this, when it comes to gay marriage, yes, Clinton did pass DOMA, which I'm not a huge fan of. But at the same time, the mere fact that he even let people have civil unions that would grant them their legal rights, as far as getting benefits and accepting that, two people were together, at all, even if it wasn't allowed to be called marriage, that was a great thing. I mean, the fact that they would even get that, and that people in the South could, even certain Southern Democrats and people that were teetering, could even see that it was wrong to deny people, their rights, based on their sexuality, is progressive. That by their standards is progressive. Maybe not by ours, but we have to take a look at that and say, hey, you know what? That's pretty darn good. That's something that we should do. And as far as that's the thing, is it's coalition building. And as other Democrats, we have to make those that are a little more conservative Democrats. It's our job to help them realize, that hey, maybe our position is a little bit, our position is better, and that sometimes taking calculated risks, is part of politics. We can't just always play it safe. Sometimes it's good, but we got to do that. And President Obama, the thing about Obamacare is, yeah, I would like single payer health care. I would. I think at the very least, though, what we should have is a public option. Obama didn't pass that because he didn't think that, the Republicans would go for it. And initially, he did what was their plan, and he thought that, well, if I did their plan, yeah, they'd be more on board with it, but they weren't. The Koch brothers didn't want that, and the Tea Party controls that, and unfortunately, Obama's the kind of guy where, he's got a compromising personality, and he wants to see the best in people. But the fact of the matter is that the other party hasn't, they haven't worked with him at all. He's been more disrespected than any other president in the history of the United States. So that's something you got to take into account, is that if Hillary Clinton's elected president, in midterm elections, in mayoral elections, which happened the year before and after, presidential campaigns and midterms, we have to show up to those things. We got to get involved in local government too. You can't just think that the presidency is the be-all, end-all of everything, because it's not. If that was the case, Obama would have been able to pass a lot more than he has been able to, but he hasn't. In the state of North Carolina, McCrory refused the expansion of Medicaid, and that's why, but he said, okay, yeah, that's fine, though. I'll still let the consumer mandate go so that everyone can get mad about saying that, they were forced to buy health care and that health care prices went up. And one thing the Affordable Care Act has shown is that elements of socialism are the most popular. In 2011, they took a survey in CNN and about Obamacare. And what it said was 22% of the people they surveyed said they wanted Obamacare, they liked it, and they didn't want to change it. 33% of the people they asked said they wanted Obamacare repealed. The remaining percentage of people said they liked certain elements of Obamacare. They think that it should be kept, but that there should be changes made to it. Now, the most unpopular thing about the healthcare law was the consumer mandate. And the consumer mandate's a conservative idea because, it's the whole idea of you take personal responsibility and you have healthcare so that you don't have to go into the emergency room where it's more expensive and you're not costing taxpayer dollars money. But that was the most unpopular thing, and that was by a margin of 51 to 47. The most popular thing, by an overwhelming majority, I believe it was 82% of people said that they thought that it was a great idea that people should not be cut off for a pre-existing condition. And I'll be honest. I know I've heard people, say things about how, like, oh, well, they've been hurt because of the consumer mandate. Yeah, okay, that's true. Some people have. But on the other hand, my sister and different people I've known have also been able to get good prices at healthcare.gov offices, and my dad actually went and got my sister a better, he went and got her a better plan than when he was getting under Cobra at a healthcare.gov office. And that's the other thing. And then a lot of areas, healthcare.gov offices just simply haven't been set up. They just haven't been encouraged in very conservative areas because, they haven't gone to healthcare.gov offices, and, they just haven't done anything about it. And they've done it despite the president and make him look bad. They can set up healthcare.gov offices, and if anything, what it's shown is that, certain insurance companies just, the people that work for them, I swear to God, they just feel like they have no heart, I don't have to convince anybody in this video, about that, but, at least I don't think I do. I can do one if you want to hear a further explanation. But, the point is that, that's something that you need to think about, and the other thing is the Supreme Court and, foreign policy. The Clintons, Hillary Clinton, she's always done a very, very good job in foreign policy. I just, when it comes to her versus Trump on that stuff, I trust her 100% versus him. I don't trust him because that's something that you have to have a compromising personality to do, and he doesn't. He says what he says, and certain people in America might like that, but when you're dealing with people in foreign countries, that's something you have to take into account. So that is something that, is definitely true and something that you need to, take into account with that. And the other thing is the Supreme Court. You got to remember, those judges got lifetime appointments, and Obama, hasn't been able to appoint a Supreme Court justice. That's something that a president needs to do. Initially people protested some of the nominees that Democrats protested, and rightfully some of the nominees that Bush Jr. and Reagan had, but, eventually they did let them go through because they had legal qualifications. And the Republicans haven't done that for Obama. They've disrespected him in that regard. And that's something that people need to start recognizing, and the thing about it is that, Lord, and it's a great thing. One of the things that made me happy was, when I was, in college and different places, I was really upset that George W. Bush was president, evangelical Christian.